Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my garden. It is May 6th, and I thought I would just give you a quick tour of this area. So up first we have Acer Palmatum Shiraname, and there's a little bit of color in it. Normally, that new growth down there is kind of what it looks like, the whole thing when it first flushes out, and then kind of turns to a pink, kind of like Baldsmith. This year, I don't know if it's just because we had so many overcast days that it's a little bit more green than it normally is, but still looking pretty. I like the, if I can get the focus, I like the shape of the leaves and everything about this cultivar. There's a couple branches that died back, but still a good one to have. Moving on, this is a blue Atlas cedar, or not Atlas cedar, but cedar deodar cedar called Dark Blue Angel. I haven't seen a Dark Blue Angel other than this one, so I don't know much about it. Had it for a couple years in this pot, but it does have kind of that blue-green foliage, so I'm probably going to plant it. I was just kind of making sure it was going to hold its color in this area before I did. But yep, pretty happy with that one. It's going to go somewhere in this general area, hopefully in the next week or so. One of my rhododendron that the deer didn't eat all the blooms off of. And kind of continue down this way past all the hollies that I need to trim back. But this bright thing is Acer Shirasawanum Sunny, and you can just see how bright those leaves are. Definitely a really cool cultivar. It comes out bright orange and then fades to this yellow. And for me, comparing this one to Jordan and Summer Gold and Moon Rise and Autumn Moon, this one for me holds the color the best. It's in a direct sun from about 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then it gets a little mostly filtered light right now. The rest of the day it's in most filtered light right now, kind of shining through the oak canopy above it. But yep, Acer Shirasawanum Sunny. You can find it. I would definitely highly recommend this one. This definitely adds a pop of color to a dark, shady space. Over here, we have one of my Swiss cones pines. I think this is Glauca Nania. Blue-green. Supposed to, I think, eventually get maybe 4x4. But, yep, it's doing pretty well. I like the color on it. Over here we have one of my red linerlobums. I like this one. It gets a lot more shade than some of the plants just a couple feet from it. This one only is in direct sun maybe from like 10 to 12. And the rest of the day it's in dappled shade, but even still it'll definitely green up more as the season goes on, but right now it's still holding on pretty well to that red color. This is Aka Hosa, I think it's Host. There it is down there. But yeah, you can just see, I love the leaf of these linerlobums. This one's a little bit thicker than some of the other ones I have, which is nice too, because then you can see it a little bit easier, especially when it's small like this. But yep, that's a good one. Right next to it, this is Golden Duke's Eastern Hemlock. So if you need a conifer for a shady spot, hemlock is definitely the way to go. This Golden Duke's apparently is a lot more sun tolerant than some of the other golden color hemlocks. So it's gold during the winter and then greens up during the rest of the year. But yep, enjoy it. I think it's supposed to get maybe 6 foot by 4 foot when it's all said, cone shape. So yep, Golden Duke's hemlock. Back here I have my mood ring Podocarpus. You can see the that bronze new growth on it. I just planted this a couple weeks ago, so excited about that one. We'll add kind of a evergreen border. Next to it I have one of my camellias. This one's called Hermes. It's a japonicum, so it gets the big blooms during the late winter, early spring. Whatever reason, the deer really like this side of it and not this side, but it'll flush back out as they do. But yeah, this one is Hermes. It's has bright or big pink with red or pink with white variegation flowers on it. But yep, a good camellia. Kind of the way down the road there, I got some of my other rhododendrons, and you can see I got a couple blooms down here that the deer left me, but they ate all the blooms off the other one. So because of the deer pressure back here, some of my trees that are harder to find, like this Esk Sunset, I have in a cage to kind of help protect it till it gets a little bit bigger. But I love the variegation on this Esk Sunset, and the best thing about it is the bottom of the leaves have this beautiful maroon. If you haven't seen this cultivar before, the leaves first come out a little bit more solid like they are there, and then they add this variegation over time, and each leaf, that sand dusting is a little bit different, but all of them have that maroon bottom. So Esk Sunset is definitely one of my favorite trees, probably my top 5. So that's one reason why I have it protected. Plus, it's a little bit harder to find this one. For those wondering how much sun it's in, it gets direct sun, maybe 9 to 12, and then it's in dappled shade from a high oak canopy after that. So, and for me, it's doing pretty well here in Central Virginia. Let's see, over here I have my Moon Rise. Losing some of the color. Definitely not as vivid as that Sunny, but you can see the new growth on it compared to it's fading out. It'll hold this color pretty much the rest of the season, but just that pop of red against the chartreuse color of Moonrise is pretty beautiful. So Acer Shirasawanum Moon Rise. Right next to that is my Bronze Age. So comparing the two leaves, definitely the Moon Rise has the full moon leaf. This is definitely a lot more divided, almost like a Matsumura type leaf on a Shirasawanum. This one's in a little bit more shade than the other Shirasawanum. So I think if it was a little bit more sun, we would have a lot more of this bronzy color where it gets its name from. But right now it's in a little bit more shade, but enjoy it. The color contrast between the Shirasawanum of Bronze Age and the Shirasawanum of Moon Rise is pretty amazing. With the even like the colors right now, but fall, this one turns bright yellow, where Moon Rise turns bright red. So that too is a good color contrast between the two. But yep, Bronze Age is a great one. I highly recommend it if you find it. Below it, I have my Myers Dwarf fir. Firs in the south sometimes don't do very well with the humidity, so I have this one, and it gets some sun in the morning and then kind of hides canopied shade after that. So I think with the high canopy, hopefully it'll protect it a little bit more, but we'll see. Just planted this one a couple days ago, but the one thing that I like about this one is it has those bright red cones on it. So yep, looking forward to, hopefully this one does well here for me. I put it in a little bit more shade than I do normally with my other firs. I like the shape on it a lot. This one will be a little bit more spreading than it does get tall. I think eventually it could form a leader, but just hoping it'll kind of fill in the space so it spreads out. kind of right next to that, as a kind of a nice color contrast, is my Hana Matoi, and you can see, if I can get the focus, some of those bright pink leaves against that dark red. There's some more over here. You can get the focus, but kind of like a lace leaf of Lillian's Jewel, or Geisha Gone Wild, or Shiraz. Yep, a really pretty lace leaf, Hana Matoi. I hear that it can be kind of finicky. This is my first spring with it. I planted it here last fall. I had it in a different spot I planted it late last spring. I think it got a little bit too much sun, so I moved it back into a little bit shadier spot, and seems to be liking it a lot better. No leaf burn or anything on it. The pinks are holding up a lot better. So yep, Hana Matoi. Behind that, now my Firefly. Planted this here last fall, so giving it a little bit of time to adapt to its spot. It looks like a little leaf burn, which is surprising. I don't know if it's the frost that we got late in April, or I guess mid-April, I think, is when we had a 28-degree night. So after a bunch of days in the 80s where everything kind of leafed out. But yeah, Firefly, you can still see that reticulation. There is a little bit of leaf burn on it. This is in a mostly indirect light once the leaves of the trees above it leaf out. So it'll be protected from the hot sun. But it got burned before all the oak canopies leafed out. So hopefully as it gets its roots underneath it, it'll do a little bit better for me, but I still love that reticulation and the tips of the leaves. Firefly, it's a good one. Kind of behind it, I have one of my azaleas. This is Amelia Rose. When the leaves are, or the blooms are kind of past their prime, kind of fading now, but still pretty beautiful. When they first come out, they look a little bit more like a rose. Then they definitely turn into like the traditional, not traditional, but definitely a azalea bloom. But yep, a double azalea. Yep, Amelia Rose, it's a good one. Some more camellias. I have this small one in the cage so the deer don't eat it. And then back here I have, that is Marvel Mahonia. So kind of making a evergreen wall back here for the Japanese maples to pop against. We'll kind of work our way back up past my Moon Rise. So in front of Moon Rise, this bright red color to kind of help contrast against it. And this is Bart's Dwarf, which is a witch's broom. You can tell by that node right there. This one for me usually holds its red pretty well most of the season. You can see the new growth on it. Comes out a little bit brighter pink, kind of fades to this still pretty bright red. It's definitely not the maroon that some of the other ones like Twomby's Red Sentinel, some other ones kind of fade to. But yep, it should be I think it gets maybe 4x4. Yep. And then a lot of my peonies kind of all in this area. This one here, conifer, is Blue Lou. This is a Japanese white pine. Just planted it here. I like the shape of it and the color of that blue green with the plays off the red and the yellow of all the maples kind of around it. So Blue Lou. And then behind that, this is Benny, Missouri. I think it's how it's pronounced. Usually, kind of like some of the other ones. Usually for me, it comes out like this bright red, and then kind of fades to a yellow. This year, it's definitely more green than it normally is. I can kind of see like this leaf up here. That's kind of the color, and it's usually even brighter than that. when it first comes out and then fades to yellow. And then usually it holds the yellow pretty well for me. I'm not sure if, just like I said, with some of the other trees I have this year, where it was just a little bit more shade from all the cloudy days that we had than it normally gets. But either way, still a pretty tree. Acer Palmatum Shiraname, I think it's how it's pronounced. Here's the name, just in case you were looking. Found this at a local garden center. It's pretty hard to find sometimes. I've seen it on a couple sites, but definitely not one that I've seen offer very much. But a pretty tree if you can find it, even with it being green or more green than it normally is. It helps the other colors around it pop with the sunny and the autumn, or the moon rise and the Bart's dwarf and everything. So yep, a pretty tree. Down here is my Night's Light Cameo Cypress. That'll kind of become like maybe a 4x4 ball. I can kind of trim it down if I need it to. But yep, a little pop of yellow in that space. Up in front of this one, this is my another blue. This one is Blue Teardrop. This is Pisces Glauca Blue Teardrop. Yep, this should get like a little 3x3 cone shaped. More peonies behind it. This area, when all the peonies are in bloom, is pretty spectacular. In front of them I have my what are those, Lisianthus. They're just starting to put on some good growth, so in a couple weeks or a month, all the Lisianthus will be blooming. This one is a blue spruce that's supposed to get pretty tall but really narrow. So 12 feet tall, 3 feet wide. I just love that actual blue color of the blue spruces that you don't get. It's not the blue green that you get to some of the other like the white Japanese white pines and some of the other blues. This one's definitely a very true blue on it, and I thought that would help set the last tree that we're going to talk about. And this is my English lace. So an upright. This one definitely is a little bit more pendulous, so you do have to stake it up if you want it to grow upright, but just the shape on it alone, and I think it pops really well with the sunny behind it, and then hopefully with this blue in front of it, that color contrast between the three and all the greens of the peonies around it will help kind of make this one pop. But yep, English lace. I love the shape of it right now, and then eventually I'm going to take one of these branches over here and kind of keep it going up. But I thought I would just give you a quick tour of this area. This English lace for me does hold its color fairly well throughout the whole year. This one is in a lot more sun, even from here to the sunny behind it. This English lace gets it from full sun from about 8 to 2, and then is in dapple shade after that. So that little extra just kind of helps it hold this red color all year. So it comes out bright red and kind of fades to this maroon. But yep, English lace. Thanks for joining me in this quick garden tour of this area. I hope that you guys have a good rest of the day.